Okay, so another episode of AI's Hit, and again, in an attempt to understand AI's capacity for photography, we'll focus on history via the famous portraits, profiles of photographers of the past and present. So, as usual, we'll be relying on ChatGPT for the historical data, Dall-E and Midjourney for illustrations, and yeah, please, artificial intelligence, can you tell us more about this photographer?
He was a Japanese photographer known for his surreal and whimsical images. He was born in Tottori, Japan, and began his career as a commercial photographer, shooting for advertising and magazines. In the 1940s, he began to develop a personal style that blended elements of surrealism with a sense of humor. His work often featured everyday objects and landscapes, transformed into a fantastical and dreamlike scene. He was known for his use of forced perspective, which gave his images a sense of depth and movement. He also used carefully choreographed models and costumes, which further contributed to the surreal quality of his photographs. His photographs were widely exhibited in Japan and internationally, and his work was included in numerous museum collections. He received many awards and honors during his career, and his photographs continue to be appreciated and admired today.
Okay, so for those who didn't really know who that was, even so, we used Dall-E to illustrate and sometimes Midjourney to illustrate the texts. It is Shōji Ueda. So let's ask AI for a little bit more about the style.
Shōji Ueda's style is known for its surreal and whimsical imagery. He blended elements of surrealism with a sense of humor, creating photographs that were both fantastical and dreamlike. His work often featured everyday objects and landscapes transformed into strange and fantastical scenes through the use of forced perspectives, which gave his images a sense of depth and movement. He also used carefully choreographed models and costumes, which further contributed to the surreal quality of his photographs.
As we can see, Dall-E, as in the weeks past, is actually pretty good at trying to give a sense of the style of the photographer. Pretty good, definitely an overstatement. But this week we'll be seeing a bit more of Midjourney already at that stage of the presentation, and it really had lots of trouble trying to go beyond its own aesthetical style. I mean, the AI style, as we can see with those two pictures, to represent some objects when they're a little bit too abstract. So probably with some better promptography, we would be able to have exactly what we want. But here, I've been using the same prompt for Dall-E and Midjourney, and as we can see for the objects, it had really trouble drawing something in the style of Shōji Ueda. Sometimes, here's a selection of what I got back, but sometimes you would get, like on the picture on the right, something more interesting, maybe more into the photographer's style. But let's hear a little bit more.
Ueda's photographs stood out for their originality, his ability to create a sense of wonder, and for his use of humor. His approach to photography was characterized by a sense of playfulness, which lent his images a light-hearted and joyful quality. He was also known for his ability to create a sense of movement and depth in his images, which contributed to a sense of realism and believability in the photographs.
Here again, Dall-E is trying again. All those terms are really, it's really hard to add intentions to this kind of technology, but we do find some elements inspired from the photographer's style, or maybe we're projecting, or I'm projecting, but and yeah, Dall-E is quite good at that. Sometimes with a more drawing-like rendering. But if we look at Midjourney, it's always a bit more theatrical in the aesthetics, actually. Cleaner, always this varnish. I only used to show Midjourney for the custom photographer that we do at the end of the episodes. But here I've tried to use it also, because of the quality of the results, into the descriptive part of the presentation. And as we can see here, it's quite theatrical, but also sometimes pretty convincing. The picture on the right, the black and white, the way it's composed, kind of gets interesting. Let's hear again a little bit more.
Additionally, Ueda's photographs were characterized by their timeless quality, which has helped them to remain relevant and iconic decades after they were first taken. His work is considered one of the most important of the 20th century in Japan and continues to be appreciated and admired today.
Here, the Dall-E pictures are pretty great, in my opinion. Very dreamy-like. You have this sense of movement. It's quite sensible. Um, and again, here, Midjourney has this cinematographical look to it. It's really nice aesthetically, but it's a little too clean in my opinion. It's trying to, again, it's the same prompts between Dall-E and Midjourney. I haven't gone into the finer detail of prompt creation, but I still do make a selection. But we can see that Midjourney is definitely trying to add some of its own characteristics above the composition. Well, as we have kind of a virtual Shoji at hand, let's maybe ask for custom creation. Could we have a photo of a couple walking in a Japanese landscape with birds flying in the background, fields of flower, and a storm in the faraway background? A photograph in the style of photographer Shōji Ueda? Yep. We start with Dall-E, the first examples. Interesting. Again, this kind of painting-like quality of the results, but otherwise quite interesting. Not sure about the storm. The interpretation of the storm basically is having umbrellas, I guess. Now let's see two more. Here again, there is the idea also of the clouds, large clouds in the background, which would represent the storm. And again, this time around, it's really painting like more than photography, more than like a photograph rendering. But anyways, interesting try. Not very convincing, but let's check Midjourney. So Midjourney, here again, this very cinematographic rendering, very clean. Also here, the darkness of the clouds, the umbrella obviously represents the idea of a storm coming up, and the field of flower, quite aesthetical. While the technique and the black and white, the choice of composition could have been a bit more of Shōji Ueda in the first four pictures from Dall-E. Here I feel it's more like of a random essay on the keywords I gave, and here the last two pictures, same thing here. There is a sense of minimalism in the way the main subject, the couple, for example, is presented and how the image is composed. But it doesn't really convince me that we will already be able to use a virtual Shōji Ueda and create some counterfeit photographs for the years to come. But hopefully that was entertaining. Of course, like every week, go check the real informations, go check the books, go check the exhibitions, the museums, and of course, information online on reliable sources. Hopefully it was entertaining, and catch you next week.